And welcome to the Bulloch Sports Report. I'm Josh Aubrey. Plenty to get to in this week's show. The annual Schenkel Invitational taking place this past weekend at Forest Heights Country Club. The Georgia Southern Eagles coming up a little short, finishing as runners-up with Utah coming out on top. We'll get out and show you some highlights from that and hear from Coach Collins as well as the individual winner and the team winners, coaches, and we'll also get out to the Georgia Southern football practice where their spring continues. First year under defensive coordinator Mike Mutz, who comes over from Stephen F. Austin, was at Georgia Southern back with Willie Fritz. Now he's back at Georgia Southern with Clay Helton. We'll hear from him, his philosophy, and how he feels things are going at spring practice so far. As for the Georgia Southern men and women's basketball teams, both of their seasons have come to a close. We'll hear from Coach Hana Haden, whose Lady Eagles made it to the postseason after falling in the Sun Belt semifinals, and then they lost at Miami in the first round of what is basically the women's version of the NIT. We'll hear from her, as well as Charlie Henry, whose men's basketball team went all the way to the championship game, winning 5 out of 6 and finally kind of running out of steam against Troy in the championship. We'll hear from him as well. On the high school front, speaking of coming up a little bit short, the Portal Panthers made it all the way to the state championship game against Clinch County and Macon at the Macon Coliseum. Came up short on that one. Jeff Brannen's first trip to the state championship and the Portal Panthers' first state championship trip since the late 1950s. We'll show you how they got there and hear from Coach Brannen. All that and more coming up on the Bulloch Sports Report. And a reminder before we go to break, hopefully you'll never be in an accident, but if so, please give our friends at the Sullivan Law Firm a call, 912-489-8888, or online at thesullivanlawfirm.com. Northside Drive behind Remax Eagle Creek Realty.
Pojo's Country Store is proud to support all Bulloch County and surrounding area athletics. We've been fueling up for almost 20 years with 3 locations in Statesboro and locations in Sylvania, Wadley, and Bagsley. Pojo's Country Stores is the real MVP. And a special shout out to our Bulloch Academy Gators. Go get them.
Well, the annual Schenkel Invitational taking place this past weekend with some nice weather over at Forest Heights. Got a little blustery there on Sunday and tough pin placements. Scoring was a little higher than it had been on Friday and Saturday. The Eagles come up a little short. Utah wins back-to-back championships at the Schenkel. And we'll go out there and show you some highlights and hear from the individual medalists as well as a couple of the coaches from the team, first and second place finishers. Round 2 of the annual Schenkel Invitational taking place Saturday at Forest Heights. Georgia Southern teeing off with the lead, trying to maintain things on Saturday. Great crowds on hand once again and some pretty nice shots. Here on number 5, it's Georgia Southern's Thomas Horn putting this one within about 10 feet. His playing partner on Saturday from Yale, Matt Lynn. And take a look at this one. He puts this one to about 5 feet. Lynn with an impressive round of 6 under 66, which has him tied for second individually. Moving day, seeing Utah on fire here on the par 3 6th hole. Take a look at the tee shot from Sergio Jimenez. It'll roll down to about a foot away. He would tap that in for birdie. Staying on number 6, it's Parker Claxton from Georgia Southern with the delicate touch on this tricky downhill putt. Claxton catching fire on the back with a 5 under 67 and is in 5th place individually. Utah continuing to heat it up on 6. Take a look at this shot from Brandon Robinson. Playing the hill nicely to within a couple feet. He'd tap in for birdie. Robinson with a 65 and is currently 12 under in 1st place individually. Georgia Southern's Thomas Horn attacking the 6th hole as well, going from the other side and playing the hill which breaks towards the hole. He'd birdie en route to a 69 and is tied for 8th. One more birdie attempt coming up on number 6, and it's Matt Lynn from about 15 feet away. He drains this one. Over to number 7 we go. And the birdie putt for the Eagles, Harrison Sewell, who'd card a 1 under 71 on Saturday. His playing partner, Utah's Gabriel Palokius, with the birdie. Still on 7. And the beautiful chip here by Jimenez for another easy tap-in birdie. Parker Claxton trying to hold serve as he drains the 5-foot birdie. Georgia Southern's Thomas Horn on the par 5 hole in 2. This for an eagle. He just missed but would settle for birdie. The crowd nice over at number 9. And how about this touch coming up from Eagle freshman Trace Carter, putting this one to a couple of feet. A nice place to be. He'd tap that in and finish 1 over for the day. Horn on another par 5 and 2 and looking for the eagle again. A nice run here. He'd birdie. Georgia Southern finishing 12 under, which was a great round. But Utah, even better. The Utes shoot an incredible 20 under to jump to 1st place, 5 strokes ahead of the Eagles. Final round of the Schenkel Invitational teeing off Sunday at Forest Heights. Windy conditions as Utah and Georgia Southern battling it out for the top spot. The Utes, Brandon Robinson with the long birdie here on 7. To start things out, the Eagles' Parker Claxton holding serve as he was able to get up and down from the sand and the birdie putt right here. The Eagles gaining momentum on the par 5 9th hole. Morgan Blythe with his 3rd shot. The chip up close. Within a couple of feet. He'd go on to sink this one. And Blythe trying to fire up the crowd. Fellow Brit and teammate Harrison Sewell on in 2. Here for the Eagle. He leaves it a little bit short, but he'd step up and drain the birdie putt as Georgia Southern gaining ground. Next up, still on 9, Thomas Horn, also on in 2, also for the Eagle. And this one checks up a little short, but he'd give the crowd another birdie to cheer about as the Eagles closing the gap. Over to 12, and Blythe with the approach on the par 5 12th hole. This would leave him about 15 feet for birdie. He would just miss this one, but would sink the putt as things tightening up. The Eagles able to tie Utah at 21 under par. but the Utes quickly pulling back ahead after a couple of Eagle stumbles on number 12, Sergio Jimenez, the birdie putt. Parker Claxton trying to limit his problems on 12 as he hits a long putt for bogey. We move ahead to 18. Not much good happening for Georgia Southern except Blythe here on the par 5 and 2. He puts this one up close and would birdie. From there, Utah's Davis Johnson with one of the saves of the tournament from behind the green on 18, somehow able to not only knock it on the green but also on the top shelf. He'd go on to par. And the Utes go back to back with the 20, 25, and 26 Schenkel titles.
Feeling really good. It was a tough tournament, challenging. Teams were great. Feel very fortunate to come away with the victory. It was a tough day today.
Saturday, you guys really put the pedal to the metal, kind of made the difference in the tournament. Today, tough conditions, you were able to hold on.
Yeah, Saturday was a great day for us. That gave us the cushion that definitely helped us today. You needed the cushion out there. It was really kind of came down to who was going to be the best at challenging conditions, and it was just very, very tough. The other teams played great. They pushed us all day. Feel very fortunate and lucky to. Schenkel is such a special event. Ryan and the Schenkel group do such an amazing job. Our host families, the Laniers and the Hills, Coach Collins, everyone's such a gentleman here. It's more than just a golf tournament. It's community. It's about the kids, and it's just such a fun event. It's one of our very best. We love it.
Individually, a tie between Notre Dame's Jacob Modeski and Yale's Matt Lynn at 13 under par.
I'm on top of the world right now. I can't even explain how blessed and grateful I am to be a part of this tournament. I feel like, golf aside, the Statesboro community is just so special, and the people made this event as good as it is, and it's definitely my favorite tournament of all time.
Second individual win. Did you feel pretty good coming into this?
Yeah, I mean, I felt good. This is our second tournament of the spring, so we're kind of just ramping up as the spring continues. But I will say, like, I just feel like the conditions are so good at this golf course. If you hit a good shot, it will reward you, and if you don't, it'll be difficult. But yeah, I feel really good.
As for the Eagles, 17 under was good enough for second place.
Really solid first day, and that's always the goal in the Schenkel, is to get off to a solid start. Shot 10 under, shot a lower score the second day, played even better, which is even more than you can ask for. And today the conditions were tough. We didn't get much wind the first 2 days. Today we got wind, and it switched to be a very difficult wind, as you saw with all the scores in the last group. Super proud of our determination and resiliency all week, but especially today. A lot of birdies on the back nine. We kept fighting for it. It's just Utah played a little better.
I know for you it's got to be emotional. Parker's final one. He's been your guy. He's been Mr. Reliable for you for all these years. Playing the last Schenkel here has got to be pretty rough or tough for you to see his final one.
I mean, yeah, Parker's a phenomenal young man. He's represented this tournament as good as anybody in the history of this tournament. He's played in this tournament, or he's played as well in this tournament as anybody could ever ask for 4 years. He's given everything to our program, given everything to this tournament, and very proud of him and what he was able to accomplish in 4 years at the Schenkel. We still have a long road ahead of us with the team, but his leadership on and off the golf course is something that I hope our younger guys took note of.
All right, moving on now. Indoors, where the Georgia Southern men's and women's basketball teams both finished the season strong. The women finished strong in the regular season, then had to sit out 9 days before finally playing in the semifinals, had a little rust, got knocked out. then got a bid to go to what's basically the women's basketball version of the NIT, and went down to Miami, lost that one, but a solid season for Coach Hana Haden, who was the Sun Belt Coach of the Year. They also won the regular season. We'll hear from her, as well as Charlie Henry, whose men finished strong in the tournament, winning 5 in a row and then losing to Troy in the championship game. Let's get out and hear from both coaches.
We wanted to make it 6, man. We really did. The week definitely wears on you too. I mean, it wore on me. Man, like these guys, at the end of the day, they wanted to keep playing together, and they wanted to keep the season going. And that connectivity, that togetherness is something I'll always remember.
I think that we completely maxed this team out and probably got every single thing that we can out of them. Like, they really poured every ounce of themselves into this program. And, I'm just so happy for, these seniors, to be able to win a championship. And, again, even really tough circumstances. It's hard to, the Sun Belt is a really good league. It's one of the best mid-major leagues in the country. And so to go 16-2 in that league with a short bench and with some key players missing, I just credit our group so much. So I think about Jashanti Simmons. She's a senior and a starter, and a player that's overcome a lot in her career. She's had 5 different surgeries, and she just kept coming back for more. And this should have been her last game. And her last game was about a month and a half or 2 months ago. And she's the way she's continued to pour herself into the team, and she's taken a coaching role and how active she is in practice every day, and just her leadership. And so I think that's what college basketball is all about, or what it should be all about. And I think that we have amazing young women in our program and role models. And we talked about this year, like, it's got the tradition of Georgia Southern's got to start maybe back up somewhere, and we wanted it to be here with Team 52, and so I'm just proud of them for being able to do that.
Well, as for the Georgia Southern football team, they're taking spring practice over at Paulson Stadium. First year under defensive coordinator Mike Mutz, who was hired in December. We had a chance to talk with him about how he feels his defense will work here at Georgia Southern and how things have been coming.
Number one, we want to establish a standard of performance in terms of effort, toughness, energy, discipline. Those are, paramount to our success. Is that this establishing those standards, getting everyone to buy in, believe, understand what they mean, take pride in them, and then after that, we've got a defensive system, and it's a pretty encompassing system, and within the system, we got to figure out what are our strengths, and how can we accentuate those, and how can we leverage those strengths to be the best defense that we can be. So whether it's playing a lot of zone, a lot of man, moving the front, not moving the front, all those things is what we're trying to figure out now, because the players can't change their talent level to fit the scheme. You have to fit the scheme around what we do best. And so that's the exciting part, is trying to figure out the puzzle pieces and then put the puzzle together, and really probably won't have it all put together until, probably late August, when we really get a feel for working with these guys, because the staff is primarily new. We've got, a couple holdovers, but, we're all still getting to know each other right now. We're right on track in terms of learning the techniques. Really they spoke Spanish basically for 3 years. Well, now they're learning French. Football's football. It's not much different on the Sunday level than the Friday night level. Some people call it a hamburger, and other people call it T-bone steak. I mean, the techniques are really similar. And so getting the verbiage down, obviously for the players is new, but they've been willing students. I mean, they're chomping at the bit to learn and to study, and these guys want to be good. And so that makes it easy to get up and work with them every day, because they're thirsty for success and want to be a good defense, and that's all you can ask for.
Well, as for the Georgia Southern baseball team, knocking off number 6 ranked Clemson, the Eagles fell in their Sun Belt were swept in their Sun Belt opener on the road last weekend. This weekend they're hosting Marshall Friday night, 6:30 start, and then Saturday at 2 and Sunday at 1. Stay with us. High school action coming up next. Gerard Pre-Owned of Statesboro voted best place to buy a pre-owned vehicle 12 years running. 3 decades of experience in serving our community. Locally owned and operated, every vehicle undergoes rigorous multi-point inspections and thorough reconditioning. Flexible financing for all credit types, whether you're starting fresh or building credit, they've got you covered. Experience the Gerard difference today. 2330 Northside Drive West in Statesboro. At Pope Construction, we've been trusted to build Southeast Georgia for over 50 years. Family owned and operated, we take pride in delivering quality projects on time, every time. From schools to churches and government facilities, our team is committed to integrity, excellence, and building relationships in the communities we serve. Learn more at popeconstructionco.com. The Bulloch Sports Report is brought to you in part thanks to Morris Bank, proud sponsor of our Player of the Week segment. Well, the Portal Panthers had a Cinderella story this year. Not many people picked a team that only won 12 games and missed the state playoffs to go all the way to the state championship, but that's what the Panthers did. Did it with some grit, some heart, a little outside shooting, playing some tough defense. Unfortunately, they ran into a pretty strong Clinch County team in the state championship. Let's send you back to Fort Valley for the Final Four, in which they knocked off Washington Wilkes, and then back to the state championship game, and then hear from head coach Jeff Brannen. Fort Valley State, the site for the Final Four matchup between Portal and Washington Wilkes. First half action. Caden Busby is going to dial up the three-pointer here for the Panthers. Later on the break, KJ Hunter goes in for the hoop and the foul. Portal up by 4 at the half. Second half, the Panthers extending their lead. Hunter going in for 2 more. Right here off the pass from Josh Coleman, and then Portal playing on both ends as Coleman takes a big charge here. Then David Thomas on the offensive side heating up from long range. Thomas then going in, scoring here on the floater. And then it's CJ Haden spotting up for the three-pointer, calling for it, knocking it down. Next, Thomas driving again and hitting the pull-up jumper. Hunter next, driving in off the mark, but Coleman, the rebound and the putback. Portal up by 15. Washington Wilkes trying to claw their way back. Too little, too late. Panthers with the answers. Haden drives in for another layup. And then Thomas continuing with the mid-range success. And finally, Zeke Purcell with the nice ball handling and finish as Portal advances to the title game, winning 60-48. A good group of fans from Portal making their way to Macon for the state championship between the Panthers and Clinch County. Portal looking for their first in school history, and things start off well. KJ Hunter, the rebound and the putback. Clinch answering as they take a 3-point lead. But Portal right back. Inside they go. Josh Coleman hits for 2 with the hook. Next, CJ Haden buries the 3 from up top. And then David Thomas finding the bank open late. Blake Shipman inside battling for the rebound. And he'll throw this one in. Portal up by 2, and then Thomas gets the hoop and the foul. The momentum continues as Shipman will bank this one in from deep. Thomas next pulls up for 2 more of his 17 points in the game. Haden will bury the jumper. Portal taking a 24-20 lead. But Clinch would go on an 8-0 run to end the first half. The hoop and the foul, and then the 3 just before the buzzer as they'd take a 28-24 halftime lead. They'd open the second half on a 7-1 run to extend their lead to 10. Would go up by as many as 18. Portal fighting back. Coleman inside for 2 more. And then Thomas driving in to try and help get within striking distance. Hunter adds a rare 3-pointer. But Clinch County able to pull away late as they take the state title 63-43, ending the fairy tale season for Portal and Coach Brannen's first trip to the state championship game.
They had strong physical guards, and they didn't turn the ball over, and they just beat us. We went one stretch in the second quarter where we didn't score for 5 minutes, and we were only down 4 points. I thought the kids battled, all through the game. A lot of things the calls weren't going their way, and and we lost momentum. We'd score, and then they'd score, and we started swapping buckets. But I'm so proud of my guys. They made history this year. We've never been to state championship, and I told them let's get there every year. I've got 2 seniors, but a lot can happen in a year. But we got to get back to the standard, and this is the standard. All the high schoolers, they want to be in this situation here. They made history this year, and if you would have told me at the beginning of the year we were going to be in a state championship game, I would have took it. We only won 12 games last year, and a lot of them guys were they didn't play. They were young. They were JV players, so they played 26 games last year. And so this year we played 32. So we continually got to build the program and the culture.
And that'll wrap things up for now. We thank you for joining us. Hope to see you again next week.